If you follow my channel, you know that I've reviewed quite a few gimbals over the time, but the Moza Air 2 has become one of my favorites. In fact, this may be the most advanced gimbal I've tested so far. It's designed to carry cameras up to 4.2 kilograms, and it is just loaded with features. As always, let's take a look at all the pros and cons and see if it's worth the price of about 600 bucks. The gimbal ships in a box where all the accessories are packed neatly. While everything is stored securely, I wish the gimbal shipped in a hard shell case which is available for purchase separately. I have to tell you that I have the basic model of the gimbal, but you can choose the one that comes with accessories like focus motor or backpack. My unit comes with everything you need to get started, including an extra Manfrotto style plate, plenty of cables for connecting your camera to the gimbal, batteries, charger, lens support, follow focus pipes, and some other accessories. I will leave a product link down below the video for a complete list of accessories. The number one thing you're going to notice is that the gimbal is huge and heavy. That is because it's capable of handling whopping 4.2 kilograms of camera gear. I've used the Air 2 with the Panasonic GH5S, Sony a7 III with a cage, and Sony a6300. It works perfectly with all these cameras, but you can definitely use the Air 2 with larger cinema cameras. The build quality is just excellent as the device is mostly made out of metal and high-grade plastic. We have 3 adjustable axes, and what I love is that the front axis does not block the view of the display of the camera. That is such an important feature, especially for Sony cameras that do not have screens that can be flipped to the side. The gimbal uses Manfrotto style plates, so you can quickly swap your camera gear from one setup to another. In addition, the gimbal uses dual mounting plate system, which is a genius solution. That means you just need to adjust the base plate, but you don't need to rebalance your camera every time you unmount it from the gimbal. That is a super useful feature and it helps you save a ton of time. Speaking of balancing the gimbal, there is a horizontal axis lock that I found to be really useful both for balancing and simply resting the gimbal on the table. It's really important to balance the gimbal with each new camera. I will leave a link to the useful tutorial video in the description down below, because in this video I wanted to concentrate on features and performance of the Air 2. In short, it takes just a minute or two to do that. Depending on your camera model, you can start or stop recording, control ISO or exposure using the gimbal by connecting it via the cable. Keep in mind that the functionality depends on your camera model. What is a bit frustrating is that I can only start and stop recording on my Sony cameras, whereas the instruction manual shows that I should be able to control ISO and shutter speed among other camera settings. The display and the entire control system are one of the standout features of the Moza Air 2. First, you can control the speed or sensitivity of each axis individually or all at the same time, which is really handy in practice. The focus wheel has very nice damping and it's really smooth. You can also use it for adjusting the horizontal axis, which has become one of my favorite features. I mostly use this feature like leveling base while shooting, and that's the feature I missed on previous gimbals I've tested before. You can control each axis of the gimbal manually using the joystick that I found to be pretty responsive. Also, you can use the gimbal in many different modes by either using following or locking mode of each individual axis. That is done by clicking the joystick 1, 2, or 3 times. The trigger on the front locks all the axes if you want to film a particular object. If you double press the trigger, the gimbal will reset to the starting position. If you triple press it, you will enter the selfie mode. What is more, you can customize each button to your liking right on the gimbal's display, which is really amazing. The settings menu also allows you to set the camera settings, adjust gimbal motor sensitivity and power manually, or use the auto-tune feature, meaning that the gimbal decides how much power it needs to use for the mounted camera. There is also an inception mode which can be triggered by double pressing the function button. What I love is that you can adjust the speed of rotation and the camera will start spinning automatically. Of course, you can adjust it manually if you wish so. There are also quite a few other settings to play with. Honestly, I'm so glad that you can adjust everything right on the gimbal, but if you want even more settings to play with, the brand new Moza Master app works really well. Besides all the settings and tweaks, you can easily upgrade the gimbal software or control it wirelessly. In fact, you can reduce the speed of each axis, so you can use the gimbal as the replacement for your fluid head for nice cinematic shots. Other key features of the gimbal include a power port that allows you to charge your camera or other accessories. There is also USB Type-C port for software updates and 3/8 thread for attaching accessories to the gimbal. On the bottom, we have both 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch threads, so you can easily mount the Air 2 on the tripod or somewhere else. Now let's talk about the actual performance. I have to say that I'm really impressed with the Moza Air 2. The footage comes out really smooth and stable all the time. Keep in mind, however, that you would still need to walk like a ninja to reduce the bouncing effect. In other words, you can't simply put your camera on the gimbal and start running. That applies to each and every gimbal, no matter how much it costs. One thing to know, the gimbal is quite heavy once you put your camera on. That means that you'll get tired quickly, but that's the trade-off you need to live with if you want great results. Battery life has been amazing. You can get up to 16 hours of continuous use out of this gimbal, meaning that it will be more than enough for a full production day. What's awesome is that you can take out the batteries by simply removing the side plate. What's frustrating is that you can charge the batteries only with the external charger, which, by the way, uses the USB Type-C port. I wish I could simply connect the USB Type-C cable to the gimbal itself for charging, but that's the trade-off I can live with. Overall, I'm really impressed with the Moza Air 2. If you follow my channel, you know that I've reviewed quite a few gimbals over the time, and the Air 2 is easily the most advanced and feature-packed stabilizer I've ever used. The main trade-off is the size and weight of the gimbal because it's designed to carry lots of heavy camera gear. I also wish I could simply connect the USB cable to the gimbal itself for charging. Besides that, I have no other complaints. The Moza Air 2 is well crafted, it's just loaded with plenty of useful features, it performs great, is easy to use, and overall, I can definitely recommend the Air 2 as one of the best camera gimbals on the market right now. I don't say this just to make an ad for Gutsen Technology that produces this gimbal, I just love using it on the daily basis, despite the fact it has a few trade-offs. What do you think about the Moza Air 2? Would you buy this gimbal or would you choose another option? As always, use the comment section down below, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow me on social media, and as always, it was Linus, thank you for watching and see you soon.